4 years ago, I read the Land Titles Registration Bill 2008 and knew our people were under attack by foreign powers. Our land as Samoans was to be taken from us in the 21st century as if we were savages, and the governments of foreign powers would either stand by and do nothing to help our people, or instead had prepared their knives to carve up our land and to claim our treasures, while our leaders, bewitched by fool's gold, would sell our people's futures away. Nobody else will protect you, Samoa. Life or death, Samoa, you choose. The men who signed the Constitution of Samoa represented all Ainga of Samoa and wished to preserve all rights of the Ainga Samoa for all time. The supreme law of Samoa is made up of, firstly, the articles of our Constitution, secondly, the Fa Samoa, and thirdly, Christian principles. Some would say that Fa Samoa and the principles of Christianity are too vague to apply in the modern world, but perhaps they wish to avoid the clear directions of each of these philosophies. Christian principles are summed up in verses 30 and 31 of chapter 12 of the book of Mark of the Holy Bible. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbour as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. God requires not only words, but an ongoing promise by man to act for the best of all. Our leaders have forgotten to honour God because they trample upon the lives and rights of our people. As they no longer love the people, let them stand down, as they are no longer fit to serve the people. They wish us to bow down to them as if they were a golden calf. The state was created to serve, not to plunder the resources of the people, by creating a class of politicians who take the best for themselves and ignore the suffering of our people. Let there be equal treatment for all. Let us declare to them that all politicians must receive their medical treatment in Samoa, and within a year we will have the finest medical facilities in the world available to our people. The essence of the Fa Samoa is to love God and our families and neighbours, and in doing so to avoid the vices and sins which plague all men. In 2007, the United Nations released the United Nations Declaration of Indigenous Rights, stating that these principles were the minimum standards which would ensure the well-being and survival of native peoples worldwide. Our Constitution commands all Samoan politicians to safeguard all rights of Samoans. It is clear that without these minimum standards being applied in Samoa, the well-being and survival of our people is at risk. On the 25th of June 2008, I declared to the UN and posted online a Declaration of Samoan Rights. This declaration claimed the same minimum standards for the well-being and survival of Samoans as declared in the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights. I notified the head of state of Samoa on the Talofa Lava Forum at that time, as I did not have an email address for him, and received a public notification from the head of state's office of his receipt of the declaration. Please look at my website, www.samoa.webs.com/. Our leaders have ignored our constitution and abandoned the rule of law in taking resources from our people, such as water, which we have traditionally owned. They pretend the Land Titles Registration Act 2008 is a valid law in Samoa, when it has not been put to a referendum, as required by our constitution. The head of state has signed a nullity, a document made void or useless by law. Those in authority say nothing, and their silence is the clearest signal to our people that their time to lead has passed. We Ainga Samoa have never agreed to give our water to the government. We have never agreed to give up the sovereignty of our lands. We do not wish to pay tax on our customary land. All around the world, especially in New Zealand and Australia, the legal principles relating to the rights and ownership of traditional resources are well understood and debated. Yet here in Samoa they pretend to be our friends, while they stand by as our people's traditional lands and resources are plundered. We understand they eye our land like starving dogs outside a butcher's window. They promise money daily to our people, while their jaws slaver at the thought of swallowing our land up. You think we natives are stupid? Capitalism coupled with greed has led to the madness of middle mania in Samoa. Everything has a price, and opportunistic Samoans, either on their own or in partnership with foreign corporations, seek to profit from every service provided to a captive public. Monopolies and middle mania bring death to our people. The margin between the actual cost of goods and services and the price charged to the suffering population is the profit of middle mania. If we are all silenced by fear, Samoa, then our race is doomed. Samoans of the 22nd century may remember me as the scout who raised the alarm at the warning signs of the terrible stripping of our people of their lands in the supposedly enlightened 21st century. Reporting to Samoans of the 22nd century, I say this: future Samoans, greetings. Our constitution has been tampered with and its protections ignored to create opportunities for a harvesting of our motherland and resources by greedy foreign powers and local politicians. The local politicians are fed propaganda on public issues of national importance, and the government exploits rather than protects the people. The Human Rights Protection Party refuses to justify its suicidal policies, and our people are treated as second-class citizens. No scholarly analyses have been undertaken by the supposedly friendly nations who surround us. We seem to be marked for destruction by Palangi powers. On this date, I remain uncertain as to the future survival of our race and its traditional lands and resources, but I remain confident that our people will rally rather than become extinct due to the middle mania of our politicians. I am told that I risk my life by commenting about the real issues of our times. If so, I accept that evil men may take action against me. My life I have placed in God's hands. What is one death compared to the suffering that millions of our Samoan people will endure and the loss of our land for all times? You'll know whether I made a difference or not. Wake up, my people, before it is too late.